say a bunch of cool shit.
I've got a lot to say, and even more to prove. I can tell this right now.
What is up, dudes? We started a little late because I was talking Fabrizio's ear off, but we got the creator of Horace H. Hoover here with us tonight.
What's going on?
Dude? Pull chat up here on my phone. Get a card here. This has just become like religion for me. 18 days in. This is the most I've stuck to anything ever.
That is impressive. 18 days of streaming is something.
Yeah, not too bad. I think there was one night I did a late one. I got a pre-record one because I'm doing a trip to New York this weekend that was unplanned to meet up with the film dudes. Actually, speak of the devil, my co-writer and co-creator on Can't Kill Cade, Mike, in the chat there.
Awesome.
We're going up to New York this weekend to actually meet with Low Res and some of the dudes. We did like a little gore gag in Low Res's first feature, Mass State Lottery. That was like last November. And he's actually wrapping that up right now. But we're going back up there to meet up with him, Kino Corner, a couple of other YouTubers this weekend. And they're going to like a Vincent Gallo event. He's doing like a private screening in New York. But I was like, I want to shoot some 35 millimeter, so it's an excuse to go up to the city and see all those dudes.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I haven't been to New York, and actually, no, I was in New York right before COVID, like the couple months right before. So.
Yeah, I think that's the last time we were too. It was like a couple months before it hit, probably like fall time. Because I think I can't remember exactly when COVID like really like took off, but we knew a couple months beforehand something was going on just because of the nature of my day job. There's a lot of international dealing, and things were very weird before anybody was saying anything publicly. So like we were aware of it, but we had gone to New York for something, and yeah, I think it's pushing 3 years now for me. It was like I got my girlfriend set me up with a nice little 35 millimeter SLR because I didn't have one of my own anymore, and I think I'm going up with like a Polaroid, that bunch of 35 millimeter film. I told those dudes, it's like the only way I want to sneak into that event or get anywhere near there is if I'd actually be able to get a picture of Vincent Gallo. It's like I just want to shoot portrait photography and some street photography while I'm up there. And I was like, cool. How often do you get a chance to shoot that guy? Especially with how reclusive he is. The event they're going to, you have to like sign NDAs and
wow.
Check your phone in and stuff like that, like they're doing at comedy shows and stuff now.
Yeah.
They're hoping he'll show a print of like one of his like unreleased films, I guess. What's up, GJ?
Hey, GJ. I
should mention too before we get off the deep end here, because I like to rant and derail my own shows. The Alterna Fall campaign is live right now, and we both have books on it. Fabrizio's debut with Horace H. Hoover #1, and we're back from a long hiatus with Can't Kill Cade #3. And we also broke 350 backers last night, I believe.
Nice. That's awesome.
Which is, yeah, very rad. I've been trying to plug it at the beginning and end of all these streams all month long. I'm thinking once I'm wrapped up on everything in fulfillment before the end of the campaign, I might do a little last minute stretch and do like a sketch cover giveaway or something, because I have a bunch of Cade sketch covers I can do. But tonight we're drawing, or at least I'm drawing, trans Michael Caine.
I will be too.
Like, yeah, the most obvious Giallo killer ever. I was like, I don't feel bad about spoiling this one. This movie is like 42 years old at this
Yeah.
point. Like, I mean, it doesn't look that old by any means.
Yeah, I never saw it, and I've skipped around, so I can't say that I've seen it. So I don't want to say that, but I definitely have a sense of the movie at this point.
I was gonna say, if you see one frame of the killer, you know exactly what's going on. And I think it was it was like the Blu-ray or the DVD re-release. It's literally like it's either a picture of Michael Caine and then the eyes are torn out and it's a woman's eyes, or it's the reverse of that. It's a picture of a woman but the eyes are torn out and it's Michael Caine's eyes. But it's like very obvious, like what the twist of the movie is just looking at the cover. And then again, like I think De Palma like saw the cut of the movie and was like, "Oh shit, we gotta blur this out," because the early scenes where you see them are like disorienting and you can't tell who it is. But as soon as you start getting clear frames of it, you're like, "Oh, that's Michael Caine in a dress." Like, you expect him to walk around the corner and start dropping Alfred lines.
Yeah, there are worse things than Michael Caine in a dress, though. So
yeah, right. Yeah, you could be butchered in an elevator. I can't even remember that actress's name because Michael Caine in a dress was so memorable. It was like she's like a famous actress too. I watched something where De Palma, like, he's one of those guys, it's like similar to me, where he'll get like I talked about this a couple days ago on one of the streams, but like a lot of my ideas, I'll have like a section of it, or I'll have like a really interesting ending. Like, not Can't Kill Cade. City of Rot came from. I had this like idea in my head. I wanted to do something with like bikers and zombies, and this like clear idea of the ending of City of Rot was in my head, and I was like, oh, I can work back from there. And De Palma, I guess, just had like the idea of doing a trans killer, and then built off of that. And one of the things, like one of the early, he said he'll come up with like a couple of visuals that click for him, and that's when he starts writing. And I think the elevator kill that the movie is like famous for is one of the big visuals that like clicked with him early on. And then he met that actress at like a Toronto film festival or something like that, and just like cold pitched the movie to her. I don't even think there was a script done at the time. He's just like, hey, I'm going to do this movie where this, like, psychologist is just going to absolutely lose his mind and start killing ladies because they made him horny accidentally.
That is interesting about, like, you know, the visual of a scene, you know, stitching them together to make a movie. I mean, that's how I do my stuff, but I always imagine filmmakers to be much more, like, I don't know. Like they plan out the whole thing in their heads. I know that's an absurd, like, judgment, but I don't know anything about movies. But I could see that. I'm looking at the kill scene right now in the elevator, and that's just what I'm gonna draw, I think.
Yeah, he was like, "That's the one," and he had this idea of like, you know, this shot of like from afar. That's what I was saying. Like, I feel like the trans community had to like absolutely fucking hate this movie when it came out, because the way he talks about it is like, by today's standards, people would be like, whoa, this guy's the most insensitive bastard in the world. But he was like, the way I looked at it, he thought it was like really striking that it would be like, oh, it looks like a woman from afar, and then when they got close, it was obviously a man. I was like, oh man, this is great. Like, I love De Palma, but I'm like, no wonder I don't hear from this guy anymore.
Yeah, really.
And it's great, but yeah, the movie basically boils down to like, this guy is, or this person is struggling with their gender identity, and I think literally what makes him snap, because it's been like a month or two since I watched it, but what makes him snap is that like one of his like clients like accidentally turns him on one day. And that's why I was like, I feel like it was probably perceived as offensive by the trans community because it's like it poses the idea that like a weird thing like being turned on could trigger you when you're struggling with your gender identity.
Oh yeah.
And then turn you into just like a violent murderer. Because I'm trying to remember anything else that really explains why they start murdering people. Other than I guess like jealousy. But yeah, it's a wild movie, and it pulls like a psycho because you think that lady is gonna be the main character for the whole movie, and then she's just butchered in an elevator.
Yeah, man, Michael Caine in a wig. This is
it's
awesome.
Insane. And like, I watched the movie the first time, and like I'm not kidding. As soon as you see a frame of him in the movie where it's not all like foggy or blurred anymore, you will lose it. No matter like how engrossed in this movie you are, you will lose it. I'm like, I love Michael Caine. I love De Palma. It's just too obvious. I'm probably gonna end up rewatching it tonight now too. I'm like, it's not as bad as we did Death Walks at Midnight one night, and the killer in that movie looks like Phil Spector, which we didn't finish it. Like, it was so hard to watch and not like cry laughing. I think me and Mike got 15 minutes into it, and he like beats a hooker to death. The other thing too is so the killer looks like Phil Spector, and he's also killing prostitutes with like a fantasy gauntlet.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he wears a spiked gauntlet. And the only reason we picked the movie to start was we were like, we didn't want to read too much about the ones that I hadn't seen before and like find out a synopsis or anything. And most of the time a giallo boils down to like someone's killing prostitutes in a really cool location. So we were like, we're not going to read much about it, but we'll look up images, like stills from the movie, to see if there's anything like visually interesting that it's famous for all these years later. And one of the only ones that would come up for that movie was the gauntlet, like punching hookers. So it was just like a POV shot of the gauntlet punching hookers. Wow. And then a picture of like an albino guy like bleeding from the eyes and foaming at the mouth. And when we saw that, we were like, oh yeah, this is the one we're going to watch. We never got to the albino guy, though. Like, it got to the Phil Spector killer, like, beating the first hooker to death. And me and Mike were, like, choking laughing in my living room and had to turn it off. I think that's when we put on another... that was the night we put on another De Palma movie, Body Double.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Which is another really good one, but is even more horny than this. That one it's like set in the porn industry. I think it's Melanie Griffith is like the main porn chick in it.
I did see it, but man, it's got to be like 20 or 30 years ago at this point. I don't know how old that movie is, but
yeah, I think that one's 84 technically. I think it was like after this one, but me and Mike were losing it because it's was it Rob Paulson, the voice actor? Comes in one of the porno scenes. He's just like a grip for the porn production company, and he's like asking where the cum shot is, and Mike immediately noticed him from his voice acting, and we just lost it. We were like, this was the best month plan ever. Like, just hilarious degenerate movies over and over again. And then that one, I forgot, like, all of De Palma's movies have some like hilarious culturally insensitive element to them. I forgot the killer in that one dresses up as a Native American pervert, and we were losing it at that the whole time. I was like, man, just to like that, I think that would be the funniest reality show ever, to just be like a guy who like lands pitch meetings with executives, and you just go in and try and pitch insane shit like that in today's climate with just like a spy camera on.
That would be hilarious.
Cause yeah, it's like, I forgot how wild De Palma movies are. And it's like, like it's not just like, oh, it's a white guy like pretending to be a Native American guy. Like it is like a Native American caricature. It's
Man.
wild. We were like, whoa. Like they might as well have him running around with like a whiskey bottle with 3 X's on it the whole movie. Like it's bad. Yeah, Rob Paulson, the best character, who just has one line in the movie after you watch Melanie Griffith get railed by that dude who looks like Bill Maher. I can't remember that actor's name now, but it like blew my mind that he was the lead in a movie.
Somebody looks like Bill Maher. I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now because Bill Maher was also in movies too. Let me look it up real quick. He's the lead of the movie too. But he's the most like regular lame dude, and then he goes, "We still do like." Granted, me and Mike had been drinking, and I've only seen Body Double a couple of times. But the scene where he bangs Melanie Griffith, we were like, "Is that supposed to be a dream sequence?" But then it keeps adding like more people in the room, and that's where Rob Paulson shows up. So we were like, no, this has to actually be happening. Like this scene does not cut away, and it's just Craig Wasson. And Greg Henry is the other dude in it. Basically, the whole setup is Greg Henry is like, they're both like actors, but Greg Henry is like better off in the industry and like making more money. Craig Wasson's character like struggles with claustrophobia and ends up losing a job because of it, playing like a vampire in a goth romance movie. It's like a goth horror romance movie. But that Craig Wasson dude looks like Bill Maher the whole movie, and we were like, this is supposed to be like the dude who like takes the porn industry by storm halfway through the movie. And we were losing it the whole time, but Greg Henry has a really cool house in the movie, and the whole setup is he's just like, hey, this is pretty rad. I got this really nice house, and there's this horny chick like down the hill a little way that likes to dance naked and blast herself like every week at the same time. Like almost like a TV program. And like they just watch it, and that's like the entire first hour of the movie is this dude just like watching this chick like dance naked in her house, and then like witnessing weird stuff happen around it. No gaming crap tonight, right? What? Oh, I forgot I did that Dead Space card for GJ last night. I was like, what is Ryan talking about? Old man Ryan doesn't know games.
I don't know a lot of games, but I do know Deep Space. Or Dead Space, sorry.
Haha. Caught you.
I did play the first one, but that's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking with GJ, that one's getting the remake coming out like soon. That seemed just like they made like a spiteful remake to leech money away from the creator. Because that dude left EA and started a new company and is releasing his spiritual successor to Dead Space like in December, the Callisto Protocol. And EA is just like rushing to get their Dead Space remake out around the same time. It's like, that's rough. Nothing like $1 billion company spitefully trying to take you down after you quit working for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do game development, so I would buy a lot of games. I would play like 20 minutes of them, and then that would be it. So yeah. But I never got a chance to really get into a lot. So I know a fair amount from back in the day, but man, if I had to actually play them, that was tough.
I couldn't imagine, like, I'm so busy with just like regular work and the comic stuff and film stuff I do now that Like, even if I wanted to play games, I rarely have time for that. I'm like, I couldn't imagine working that for a living and then coming home to play games. I'd be like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, for a short while, I really felt like I wanted to do games and just games. Like that was
Yeah.
where I was gonna put like all of my art. Essentially, was in games. That went away though. Like I felt like games had an opportunity to be pretty awesome, and they almost made it, and then they didn't. And then ever since then, I'm like, that's all right.
Yeah, we have a pitch for something, but it's, again, like everything I do, not cool for a wide audience. I do all these niche things and messed up stuff, but me and Mitch have been fleshing something out slowly that if we can figure it out on our own, eventually we're gonna start building it. But it's another gigantic fucking project because nothing we ever do is simple for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff like that I could never really do as a day job. Like, I joke about it all the time. It'd be cool to get like a paid writing gig in comics, but at the same time, I'd probably fucking hate that.
Yeah. I actually tried illustration for a bit because I was doing software development at an advertising agency. I did a little bit of illustration. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to do this full time. So I quit. I started doing it, and I'm like, I despise this. I hated it.
Yep.
Like, I would rather do software development during the day and just draw what I want when I want.
Yeah, if it's not my own thing and I have to like answer to a bunch of people, like, yeah, if I could get like free reign to do whatever the fuck I want on like a Ghost Rider book or something, I'd do a one-off or whatever. But that's not the reality anymore in like any entertainment field. It's very rare where someone's just like, here you go, do whatever the fuck you want with our property.
Yeah.
And the people that are getting those chances right now are not people like me. So I'm not really hurting for it, and I love being able to be my own boss, and all I answer to is my big dumb brain.
Yep.
I get to draw a trans Michael Caine whenever I want. All I really get is Pete being like, who are you? What did they do to you when you were a child? Stuff like that. I gotta make him have the strongest jawline like he does in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I gave him this really, really strong chin.
Yeah. It's like De Palma was like, pout your lips, you look too much like a man. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
he's got a jaw like the Punisher. I'm a lady. Yeah, De Palma rocks. I mean, I'm such a big idiot. I love his musical. I have the Phantom of the Paradise tattooed on my arm. Like,
I didn't know he did a musical.
oh man, it's like one of I'm a big musical nerd. Being into music and doing vocals in a band for years, if you could believe it. Phantom of the Paradise is like my favorite musical because it's just so damn weird, and Paul Williams did like all the music for it. The music's fucking awesome. It's like a retelling of like the Faustian tale. Very simple, but the music sort of goes through like the timeline of rock and roll almost from like its inception all the way up to like modern time in the 80s. So you see like it's from like almost like Elvis era up to like into like sort of Bowie-esque stuff, and then kind of hair metal. It goes all over the place. It's very weird, but like it's a great movie, especially to just go into as blind as possible. And it's very easy to find nowadays. Like, you can get it on Blu-ray and stuff. It was on Shudder for a while. I don't know if it still is, but a very kick-ass musical. I think a very underappreciated De Palma movie in general. It's not his best technically or anything like that, but what he's doing in it is really weird and nothing like anything else he ever did, in my opinion. And it got completely overshadowed by Rocky Horror Picture Show, because I believe they came out within a couple months of each other.
Oh, wow.
If there's anything like it, it would be Rocky Horror Picture Show, but that still doesn't even come close to it. Ryan, damn it, I started gaming talk by accident. Yeah, really... what did you do in gaming?
This is gonna sound
that
really
could be a million things.
Boring. So I basically, and I still do a decent amount of it today, is games for like trade shows and conventions. But usually the clients are like pharmaceutical companies or like just these giant corporations. And what they do is they're like, we want, I don't know, like a flashy big game to get people into our booth or whatever. Like they do at any trade show, except it's a pharmaceutical or some other big corporation. So it's games, and I'm still doing very much the same thing you do in a regular game, except it's very limited to like a 3-day event, on a giant screen in the middle of this trade show, and that's it.
Yeah. You're the guy making the vaccine game?
God, no.
I don't know, guys.
Yeah, so it's like, the thing is, all those companies, they never run out of money. Like, they always have money. So it was like, I would love to do a bunch of different games, but man, these big corporations, they just don't run out of money, so they always have a budget. And yeah, so it is boring and kind of pathetic in a way, but that is what it is.
Are you doing like all of it though? Like, are you coding?
Oh yeah, I do all the programming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, see, that's all the stuff that made me want to blow my brains out. It's like we've been learning it, and like I got some really good books on it and stuff, especially for Unreal. Granted, like all the books I just got, they're now making it like idiot proof in Unreal, so I kind of feel like I got duped. But the programming and shit, I'm like, oh god, like this is that's gonna be all of our work. Like,
yeah. I mean, I graduated college with an art degree and literally could not find a job. So I spent a couple years just teaching myself, and then I got into it, and I don't mind it. I do like it to some degree, but
a lot of that sphere seems to be like the only job openings I really see, at least in like explicitly in art, is concept art and stuff. But it has like I'll float those posts I see and stuff every once in a while to like Ryan and Jeff in our group chat. But it's like a lot of that stuff is like at least now it's remote, so that's at least good. But a lot of it's like on contract, so you have work for like 3 months and then you're out of work again. It could be a one-off gig, and like even if it is like a steady full-time job or whatever, a lot of times the salary isn't anything great either. It's like when you're getting paid to be the guy coming up with all the concepts for everything, and you're basically making like a little bit above what someone at Burger King would be making.
Yeesh. Yeah, it ain't fun.
Brutal for creatives.
If you do get into the game dev stuff, I know you're doing Unreal, I do Unity, but I could still definitely help with sort of the process of, like what kind of models you need and rigging and animation. So all that stuff does translate. It's just not...
I was going to say, from what I've heard, if you know Unity, you will crush in the new version of Unreal. That's my whole thing, is I don't know either. Like, the one I messed around most with was the Game Maker Studio 2.
Okay.
Which, from what I've gathered, I think they have their own language. The Game Maker Studio 2 also has like a plug and play language now too, that's like button based. It's not actually coding, because Game Maker was originally made for like a educational tool for kids in school, just to get them started with coding. I think it's technically like sort of based off JavaScript, if I remember correctly. but like GML is technically its own coding language that they created. It's just loosely based off Java, from what I remember. But that is like, it just started doing 3D stuff. They mostly do like 2D games and stuff. Like Hotline Miami was made on Game Maker Studio.
Okay, yeah.
Hyper Light Drifter, I think, was also. There's a lot of modern like pixel art games that have been made on there. What's up? Kevin just popped in. Pfizer first person shooter, but first person has a P in it.
I actually did. This is the last time I want to talk about what stuff I did. I did a racing game. I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's 2-player. It's like old school joysticks. This is fun. And I'm like, so what's the concept? What are we doing? Like, well, it's for the drug Xeljanz. I'm like, okay, well, what is that? And apparently, you're racing through a colon.
I don't know, man. Your job rocks.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, racing through a colon. Got it.
Yeah, where else do you get that kind of work? We're going to need you to 3D model this colon by Friday.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then so we did the colon, and they're like, they actually came back, they're like, we need it to be look less like a colon. I'm like, okay.
You guys nailed it. You got to tone it back a little. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, that's basically what's holding me back right now, and obviously like all the other like actual work I have to do, but like once I can get more comfortable with the coding and things, I want to mess around with it more, because Unreal's also done that now too, where they have sort of like a node system.
Yes.
I think Unity also does. That's why
Yep.
a lot of that, I guess, translates really well, is they kind of stole a lot of that from Unity, from what I gathered. And materials seemingly all are starting to be a little bit more universal across like Blender and everything. It doesn't seem like as complicated. Granted, this is an idiot that doesn't understand anything.
No, you're right.
This from the outside.
They're all kind of, I don't want to say unifying, but they are to some degree, from the 3D apps to the game dev engines.
Yeah, it's getting less of a pain in the ass to like get it all to run together, and I guess that was a big like focus for Unreal this time around. And the other thing just being like Unreal has all those deals with like Quixel mega scans and stuff like that now, so all that shit is free if you exclusively deal with Unreal. And their mega grants was the big thing, because it was like, we know we have a whole idea for a game and everything, and it's like this first one is straight up just a first person shooter, but it has a lot of horrible moral decisions you'd be making throughout it if we could do it.
Oh, cool.
And we basically wanted to pitch it to their mega grant program, but we need to get a programmer on board for that, because like they won't greenlight it if you just have like an art and a writing team. And it's like we found a couple of people interested in doing like character models and things like that, but it's again just going to be something that will take very slowly until we can piece it together, because that's one of those things. I don't care about it looking a little bit outdated and everything. If it takes us 5-10 years to do or whatever, and we just dead drop it one day, that's the kind of shit I like to do.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the art style, it can be evergreen, really. You could do like a toon shader kind of thing, and that kind of lives forever.
Yeah, we're exploring different ideas, because originally we were like, oh, with all the mega scans and everything being free, it being a first person shooter, there's Unreal's got meta humans now and everything, so like doing character models isn't really hard anymore. The biggest thing is like skinning them with new clothes and stuff like that is the really complicated shit.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff. It's just...
Yeah, like Marvelous Designer and all that.
Yeah, I have that, yeah.
That was what I was looking at originally, was just learning to specialize in something like that if I was going to find work in there. Because, like, I'm not bad with sculpting, but I work better as, like, conceptually sculpting. As soon as I gotta make something that's gonna operate in 3D or whatever, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like I gotta figure out all the clipping and everything now. I'm like, nah, man, I like the fun of fleshing it all out. Once you're telling me to make it actually work, I'm like, no thanks. I'm the ideas guy. Get out of here with all that shit. Colon racer, count me in. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. A new kind of ridge racer.
Oh man. Yeah. So whenever people are like, I tell them I'm in game development, I'm loath to get more detail. I'll just let them believe that I work for EA or something.
That's amazing. My job is a little bit of a different kind of soulless game development. Man, it always fascinates me. Like I feel like an alien whenever I hear like from friends like the kind of work they do, and I'm just like, how do you even get into that? You take the cake, sir.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even I struggle to find work in anything I would even remote. Not that that's something you want to do, but like to be like, yeah. That's like if I were like, man, I want to be a writer, and I somehow ended up writing like description labels for medication.
Yeah.
Which at this point I'm like, hey, call me.
Yeah, when you can't find a job, I'll take anything, and one thing led to the next, and before you know it, colon racer. Yeah.
That's beautiful, though.
I will say,
how many people have that story?
Exactly. I will say it's very popular with my young nephews. So,
That's amazing. It never, there was never a point with you where you were like, fuck this, I'm just going to, I know how to do the hardest part of it. I'm going to go make my own game.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what year it was now, maybe 2018. I don't know, but I had sort of stockpiled some money, and I'm like, I can do these games like with my eyes closed. I've been doing it for a decade, so I'm going to do a game. I'll do the art, I'll do the programming, it'll be fine. I spent about maybe 6 months full time on this thing, and I love the game, but it wasn't finished, and I had to realistically look at it. I'm like, yeah, I still need another 3 or 4 months to finish this thing out. And I'm like, at the end of those 3 or 4 months, I'm like, well, at least I'll have a game to play. And then I'm like, but I don't play games. But I do read comics. So I would rather just completely switch, move into comics, and then at the end of that, at least I'll have a comic. And that was really when I just shifted from that to comics. But that game is still in the back of my head. It's I don't know, 60% done, 70s.
I was going to say, did anybody show you the overhead on comics beforehand? Before you made that decision? We talked a little bit off stream, but it's kind of the reverse pipeline again. So you're another insane person like me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, I explain to people constantly, I'm like, yeah, man, I could be fucking Steven Spielberg could take me under his wing and be like, I'm producing Spencer's next film, and I'd be like, check out these 30 comic books I got coming out next month. I got Spielberg money now. It would all feed that, because I'm such an animal for comics and just books in general. Same thing. Games, man, if it started being a thing, it would be we'd be the only game company putting out more comics than we do video games.
Yeah.
I'm a nut for that. I don't know why more like Todd McFarlane and all those dudes. That guy made a lot of his money early on doing games and stuff, and there hasn't been I can't think of a real good superhero game coming out these days other than the Spider-Man movies games get a lot of hype, but
yeah, I think The Darkness had a really popular game, didn't it? I think.
Oh yeah, The Darkness that was a while ago though.
Yeah.
That was killer. I actually randomly have a poster from that in here. It's not up on my wall, but I think it's on my bookshelf. It had 2 of them, and they were fairly accurate to the comics. And the big thing was, again, if you're gonna do something like that, you can't just piggyback off like the popularity of the IP or whatever, that works sometimes, but the darkness was also like wildly inventive for gaming at the time. It's still like one of the most fun first-person shooters to this day. Like, it's crazy how good that game was. I don't know if it continued with the second one, but
Yeah, I had heard about it. I'd seen some clips, but I never actually played it.
yeah, they were crazy. That was like, it had the Darklings in it and stuff, and they would say all sorts of heinous shit when they came out, follow you around. You had like the tentacles and everything, and you could like rip guys like junk off with it and stuff. It was gnarly. It's like bite dudes' throats out with it. It was like, I feel like that came out like around the time I was probably graduating high school, maybe a little bit before then. Now I'm curious what your game was. I've opened Pandora's box.
If you want to hear about it, I will talk about it because.
Yes, what kind of game were you making?
So, it was mostly 2D. Imagine like a very old sort of point and click adventure, but extraordinarily complex as far as functionality. Like, I did all this artwork, this 2D, so I would do like, 2D background, 2D foreground. I would animate these 2D characters too, like with a puppet rig.
Okay. Sort of like parallaxing tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the cool thing was I was building, and I had built, for the most part, a tool where essentially you wrote the stories. So you select the characters and the artwork, and you create puzzles. So not only did I have the actual game, but I had a builder to build the stories. And that was sort of the hook. I just wanted to be able to hand this over to people and have them write a new story. And then it just generates everything automatically.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was a big idea.
I was gonna say, that's some big brain shit, dude. That's not like, oh, I had a little game. I took 6 months of my life and made a fucking Mario clone. Like, my god.
Yeah, so
like, oh, you program and stuff? You're like, I make AIs that can impregnate your wife.
Yeah, it was because I love stories and mysteries, and I thought that would be the coolest part. And to hand this over to 5-10 people and have them just write story after story, and at that point I'm just creating new artwork for them to use, new characters, new settings, new all this. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It needed a little more time, and I abandoned it, so we'll see.
I thought you were gonna say you bit off more than you could chew. It was like, my brain can't even like fathom how you would start doing that.
I mean, I like functionality wise, I had most of it done. It was just the debugging and sort of that last 10% that it's like clean up and all that kind of stuff. And honestly,
I was gonna say, that sounds like its own brand of like procedural generation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could, if that works. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but I'm like,
no.
If you can make that work and like modularly, you could be selling that framework to actual like development companies, dude. That's like, if you can make because I'm just thinking of that for like dialogue trees and stuff.
Yes. Yep.
That's fucking bonkers. Like, I don't even know if everybody in chat can fathom how crazy that is. Like, yeah, I make games. Yeah. Like, nah, motherfucker, you do way more than that. Sorry, go ahead. Like,
no, but you're 100% right. That was the idea, because I didn't want to just make a game. I wanted to do all that other stuff, make the dialogue trees, to hand it over to people. Like, that way, because my biggest issue with games was I wanted more story, and I wanted better stories. And I'm like, this is going to be story-based, and then everything else. And I'm like, just hand it over to some really good writers. That was my goal from the beginning. I'll do the art, you guys do these incredible stories, and we'll just be cranking out games. Yeah. So,
yeah, I'm like, all right, guys, we got to get some money together and get Fabrizio into Unreal Engine. Holy shit, man. Yeah, that's huge. I'm like, even just the structures of that, you should really look. I mean, look into maybe applying for the mega grants. I'm pretty sure they're still open applications, and they'll endorse grants for people who work in Unity as well. If it's something that's like advancing the industry as a whole, which I'm like, if that's really like a structure where this thing could be like, obviously it's not organic, but like procedurally building out stories, and you can build off of that structure, that'd be fucking huge for gaming. Like MMOs and things like that, even if that were a back end thing where it's like, granted, that's going to put a bunch of fucking people out of a job, but holy shit.
Yeah.
That's like how when procedural level building like got really popular, and all of a sudden no games had level designers anymore.
Yeah. And the thing is, like piece by piece, at this point I had probably done, I don't know, 30 games and like 20 apps or something. But each of those apps and each of those games like kind of gave me a little piece, I had to build a content management tool for this. I had to build that for this. And so when it came to it, I'm like, yeah, I've done all of this stuff separately in different ways. If I put it together in this way, then I can make something pretty funky.
Brilliant. Yeah, man, I thought you were going to be like, I was making a little 2D platformer. Like, that is easily the craziest pitch I've ever heard for an indie game. I thought what I was doing was out there. It's like, we're doing a first-person shooter.
I don't want to keep on going on about the games if you don't want to talk about it, but there is one more game that I do need a writer, and maybe we can do a game one.
Oh no, it's totally cool. We can talk about whatever. That's what we're here for. I'm doing these all month long, so we've been talking about all sorts of stuff.
There's another game. It's called Requiem House, and it is, just imagine, it's augmented reality, and what it is I would paint in watercolor a room, sort of like first person perspective, and you would collect these framed and put them on your wall, and these rooms would essentially build a house. And then in augmented reality, you would roll over the room and you would play the story like through the house all over your wall.
What the fuck?
And you would collect the rooms, and that's the biggest part of it, right? Like, depending on the rooms you collect, connects parts of the stories. Yeah, man, that's the other big idea I had. Damn it.
Where the fuck do you come up with this stuff? Like,
yeah.
I'm even more stoked to read your book now.
Well, I don't, that's a totally different. It really is a different thing. Yeah, and the wall. It was called Requiem House, and that was a dark story, like really, really, really dark story for me, especially. But I just love the idea of creating art and then turn it into a game, and then just coming back to it like seasonally. You could just check in on the house and what's going on in the house. You could, oh man, yeah.
That's fucking wacky, man.
Yeah.
That's what I try to talk to. That goes into like a weird sort of, I don't know if you call it a theme of the channel or whatever, but it's like the interactivity with your audience now, or the engagement with your audience. Like, that's such an engaging like idea for like the format of games, I guess, the medium of games. And that's like what I'm constantly telling people with comics and everything, is like, you have to figure out some way to actually like tangibly engage with your audience, because these days just making something good isn't always enough.
Yeah.
But something like that, man, yeah, that's such a wild concept. Like, I'm literally like, we were like, all right, first-person shooters, they're fairly easy to make. There's obviously still troubleshooting and shit like that, but we were like, if we can make a first-person shooter where the shooting all feels good and everything, It's genuinely like just harnesses a scary vibe, and it doesn't feel like anything else out there, and we can tell like a competent story in it that's like just like a good book. It keeps the pages turning, it keeps the player wanting to play through the story and engaged. Then I was like, then that's a success. We were like, even if the game only ends up being like 5 hours long, it's like a long interactive movie.
Yeah.
But you're like, I want to make some shit that is like gonna organically change it's gonna ripen like fruit in real time.
Yeah, I'll have to dig up some of the demo videos I did. I should still have some. I mean, I should still have at least one or two.
I could spend like 8 hours like how to throw brick. Holy shit, man. That's bonkers. Like I spent one of the early things when we were talking about making it a third person game. I spent probably 40-50 hours doing research on just what is it, like kinetics or like kinematics? I don't really know what the fuck they call it now for just like character models for more organic looking movement, because basically Euphoria came out years ago, was absolutely amazing. It was used on Max Payne 3, which I think was like the pinnacle of like how human movement looks in a game, like looking natural. And then basically that company got completely bought out by Take-Two and Rockstar, so now they're the only company that's allowed to use it.
Huh.
The license to use it is like an insane amount of money, so there's no way for like indies to get it anymore. But it was basically engineered by a bunch of like scientists and engineers to be like the most accurate like ragdoll simulations and just like movement simulations. It also has organ simulations in it, which is why Max Payne 3 was so accurate. You could shoot a guy in the heart, and within 5 seconds he would walk away and bleed out. You could shoot them in the arm, and the like automatic system that was built into Euphoria, they would grab where the bullet hit was and stuff like that, try and like plug it like how a natural human would. They basically simulate like real human pain and stuff, so it would have like triggers in the coding where like if you did a certain amount of damage, they would scream like way more horrendously and violently. It's like all these little details they put into the game that no one really noticed, that were just all tied to the physics system. But there's like a guy that basically excuse me, did a knockoff version of it probably like 2 or 3 years ago now, and he keeps updating it for Unreal Engine. But I spent like months doing that, learning about that, and then they launched Unreal Engine 5, and I guess Unreal has like a node system that just does that shit now.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of what keeps happening. I came over to my computer to show them off real quick. Whoa. Oh, damn, you did too?
Yeah, I'll ink them later, but I just want to get the pencils in.
Hell yeah, man. I fucking love both of those. That one on the right is absolutely nuts.
Thank you.
God damn. I can't make excuses now. I was like, you can't fit a lot in a sketch card. I got my little lady. I'm gonna color her later though. I gotta get some more done. I don't want to bust out paint right now. I normally only make these go for an hour. I didn't want to keep you up forever. I mean, we can go longer if you want, but we do have some stuff to give away too tonight.
Oh, cool.
That's why I came over to the computer initially. It's awesome to have you on and talk with you more about you in general.
Thanks for having me. Seriously.
Yeah, I didn't know you were such a wizard in all things. Dudes, if you're in here, there's not a lot of people here tonight, but if you are in here, we're gonna give away one of these, at least one of these motel tags tonight. I got for Death Curse and Camp Rainbow, a little promo piece to throw in with the Patreon dudes for the sticker club. Cool. And we got some extras, so. Excuse me, we're going to be giving some away, and then the rest will be going up on the store and stuff. Yeah, I've been wanting to do them for a while. They were really big in the tattoo scene for a while, and we worked in a shop, and a couple of the artists did them as, like, promotional bits. So yeah, we'll be giving away one of those. Whoever wins, we will also you can pick one of the Gialloween cards, just not the Suspiria card, because that's going with the Suspiria live album that we're giving away at the end of the month.
Oh,
Also,
wow.
if you're not doing anything Fabrizio on Halloween, I'm doing a Halloween draw stream, but that one's gonna go for a while, and I'm trying to get multiple guests if anybody's around.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to make it.
I think it's on like a Sunday this year or some shit.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the calendar.
Oh no, it's a Monday, even worse. Yeah, but the last prompt was going to be draw your own Giallo movie poster, because it was I think 29th is create your own Giallo protagonist, whether it's a woman, drug addicted photographer, traveling musician, whatever the trope you pick, you make your Giallo protagonist. Then the 30th, it was make your own Giallo killer. And then the 31st, to celebrate Halloween, I'm going to be hanging out. I'm going to do a fake Giallo movie poster of some sort. It'll probably be really shitty, but that I'm actually going to do on an 11x17 and hang out and bullshit with the dudes all night.
That's awesome.
But yeah, you're more than welcome to join me for that. If you guys do want to win one of these motel tags and a card tonight, I guess just put a 1 in chat. That's what I've been doing. We got a little wheel of names app that I use online that's really easy. I'll punch all your names in. We'll get it spinning. While we're hanging out waiting on that. Trying to think of anything else. Just keep talking about all your amazing games and things.
Colon Racer Part 2.
Yeah, that would be the coolest turn after your book. You go and do a follow-up to Colon Racer. In 30 years, you can use that Obama law to get your IP rights back for Colon Racer.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Fabrizio, if you did just go do your own 2D platformer or something, you would have had it done in a month.
Yeah.
You went and did some wild gonzo shit.
I don't know. I mean, you got to kind of go with whatever you're feeling. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying stifle the art. I'm just
Yeah.
like, damn man, that's wild.
Yeah, I'll dig up those videos and at least send them to you. Take a look.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see it. I can't talk about mine on stream because we genuinely want to do it eventually.
Yeah.
But I know I can mention the first person shooter aspects, and we did start building. I started learning about the map building, but when I basically stopped right before I was about to start like white boxing the actual level, because it's like, if we can't get a programmer in here, everything I'm doing could just be to a huge detriment, because like on the back end optimization, it'll be a real motherfucker if it's just like, all right, here's this giant world I built. You need to make it not run like a brick now.
Yep.
So it's like, I'm gonna wait on this and see if we can actually like assemble the team before I just start throwing everything into it. But yeah, we have a little horror story we want to do, but it's gonna take work, because where like most shooters like live off of like their multiplayer and the shooting components, we're trying to tell a story here.
Yeah.
And make like a spooky game that will actually make people like scared and not want to do things and like hesitate and stuff, because that was the whole thing, was like putting things on certain timers and stuff like that. So if you hesitate, you take too long to do things, shit could go wrong for you.
That's cool.
And yeah.
Yeah, the first person shooter, you're right. It's definitely the multiplayer that really gets people. One of the few games I ever finished was BioShock 3, which
Is that Infinite?
Yes, which I love.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I remember liking that one a lot too. I haven't played it since it came out, but I played through it in like one big tear and was like really into it.
Yeah, that, like, if you get a story to like accompany you, man, it makes all the difference in the world.
Those are kind of a good comparison to it, and like the earlier Far Cry games, sort of what we're going for, but with a vastly different setting. I mean, it'd be really easy to I'll explain. I'll say something about it off stream after we finish tonight. But yeah, don't bounce out immediately when we close out. Anyone else, if you want to enter, you just put a 1 in chat. But otherwise, Charles Reeves gets to pick a card and gets a key tag tonight. It's gonna be a real easy one. I'm a man of my word. Charles is here all the time. He's one of our regulars.
Awesome.
But yeah, we got both of our Alterna books. Horace H. Hoover and Can't Kill Cade are both up on the fall campaign. That's live right now. You guys can check that out with a link in the description. This has been awesome. I'm gonna zoom in on your guys again. I'm not like jetting out of here immediately, but cards came out fucking rad. Stoked to see you ink those.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna use Copics for these instead of watercolor like I had last time too.
Okay, yeah. I've been doing a bunch of the really cheap Arteza gouache on these streams. That's what I was gonna do tonight, but I'm like, I'll bust that out and end up painting that for like another hour. So it's like, oh wait, I'll probably color that at the beginning of tomorrow night's stream, because I've been doing them with either gouache and colored pencils, or gouache and ink for the whole month. Some of them were already given away. We got the Clint Eastwood from Tightrope, Satan from fucking Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, the evil cat that Jadwiga Fennec murders. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. Put a 1 in chat if you want to get entered. As of right now, Charles won. Yeah, we'll give it 2 more minutes when this thing hits 103. I don't know how late you had tonight, but I don't want to keep you up forever.
That's cool. I love seeing a set like that. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, it kind of like every time I see it now, I'm like, man, I'm actually sticking to this. Like, oh shit, like,
Metatron's
okay,
cube.
Metatron's in here. Here we go. 50-50, those are good odds. Metatron. Got it. Just got to throw a 1 in chat, boys. And we'll be giving away a couple more of these throughout the month. I got a copy of Charles Bronson's 10 to Midnight coming in on Blu-ray that will be given away. I believe that was oh, cool. We got a porn bot now, too. We got a Blu-ray of that coming in. I believe that one was a Shout Factory release. And then copy on Blu-ray of The Editor, the Giallo parody that we showed Kayla the last time she was here, and it broke her brain. The first hour of the movie, she didn't realize it was a parody, so she just thought it was like the worst movie ever. She was like confused as to why the acting was like overly bad and really dramatic and stupid, and like all these like bad like camera things kept like there's like intentional like camera fuck ups and stuff in it. She was like, for a guy who like absolutely loves film, how are you showing me this god awful movie? And then like it clicked with her an hour in, and she was like, oh my god. And she just hated it after that because she was so confused. But it's one of my favorites, so we got a copy of that to give away. Then we got that. I couldn't believe I found this, but this thing was an absolute fucking steal. And this guy had a random listing on Amazon. It's I think they did like a blood, white, and red splatter variant. So this is just the black vinyl variant, but this is the fucking Claudio Simonetti Goblin live experience soundtrack. So this is the live performance he did. I think it's the one from just a couple of years ago. Huh. Man. I don't think it's one of the like 80s performances. Yeah, recorded live in Helsinki, May 10th, 2019. So I was right. This is the more recent tour that he did. I'm not sure if it's his last tour. I think it might be. But yeah, this random seller had 2 copies of the black vinyl left. I was able to scoop it for $30 for both copies.
Oh, wow.
And like I was like, this thing is like impossible to fucking find in just like the regular album version usually, and I like to find stuff out and about, but I was like, fuck it, for a giveaway I got a copy for myself and one to give away for the channel, and that'll be the big Halloween one. We'll give it away with the Susie card that I did that night, because that's the really popular one for everyone else. That's why that one can't be claimed tonight. But yeah. We got that, some other stuff. That's why I was like, Halloween night will be the big hurrah. We'll do some other giveaways. I'll be all wrapped up on fulfillment at that point and everything. So it'll be a fun night. And anybody that wants to come on and make up their own Giallo movie. That's the other thing. You got to come up with a really shitty name for your Giallo movie too. Go all out with it. I was like, maybe not traditionally letter it or whatever, but I was like, maybe it'll be cool if we can get enough people on. Do a little art book or something, or a little set of art prints of everybody's Giallo movie.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, we'll spin this wheel real quick. No one else, right? I talked even longer. You guys got 5 minutes. Anyone else? Throw a 1 in chat right now. That's it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're spinning the wheel. I forgot to share it, but there's 2 of you guys, so. And it's Metatron on this one.
Nice. Congrats.
I think I still got a package here for you, Metatron. So I might just be able to slip it in with that. If not, hit me up with your address again, just in case, in a DM or an email. And pick a card. I'm like spacing out. We got a Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Malignant, The Girl in Room 2A, The New York Ripper. We got our Phil Spector killer down here from Death Walks at Midnight, Neon Demon Night with Elle Fanning, the weird baby pervert from, what was that? Was that Four Flies on Grey Velvet? Was that night? Yeah. Babyface pervert guy who frames the guy for murder, I guess, for stabbing an Italian hobo. Shitty John Travolta screaming in Blowout. Torso killer with his very stylish scarf. Jadwiga Fennec. This was what? What was that? Five Dolls for an August Moon, if that ain't a fucking hard one to remember. The Banker. This was the rich pervert who's basically, if you've never seen this one, Fabrizio, he's almost like the prototype for Bateman in American Psycho.
Oh, wow.
This is like a made-for-TV movie, Patrick Bateman. He paints his face up like a Native American warlord and shoots prostitutes with a compound bow. Or a crossbow, sorry, not a compound bow, even weirder. Murder Ock Night, which was a fun one, another horny Lucio Fulci movie that's mostly just women dancing and gyrating at a screen for 90 minutes, but it's shot on film, it looks beautiful. And it's fucking hilarious because they don't use 2 R's for the name. Clint Eastwood in Tightrope, which I haven't gotten to see yet, but I guess it's super horny and Clint Eastwood's in it. I just did Clint Eastwood in the cover on it because I got to watch that one later this week. Then we got Satan the Cat, or Satanica if you're Italian, and Trans Michael Caine. I almost just said good Michael Goodman for some reason. I don't know who that is. That's not a man. But Trans Michael Caine will be getting painted later. But Metatron, you can pick one of them cards, and reverse Travis Bickle. It's like, what? I was like, is there a guy with a reverse mohawk I did?
The Indian, the guy dressed up as a Native American?
Yeah, the Native American crossbowing prostitute guy?
I don't know, that's my guess. Reverse Travis.
I was like, did I mention Bickle? It's like, I got through a lot real quick there. I will grab a top loader really quick. Fabrizio, I don't know if you want to plug anything.
I mean, I got one thing, and that's Horace H. Hoover on the campaign. If you're in Pittsburgh this weekend, there's a Comic-Con, the Pittsburgh Comic Book Show, where I'll have a table not selling anything, but talking and giving away stuff.
Oh, snap.
So,
man, we gotta get you on the path. Just talking and giving away stuff. Gotta be selling things.
I know.
Yeah, you gotta set up a console for Colon Racer.
Yeah.
No, this was awesome though. We'll show your cards one more time before we wrap up here tonight. Metatron also said surprise me, so maybe I'll send him a babe or something, or one of the weirdos, the baby pervert. Uh, but no, yeah, I'll pick one off stream, sign it up for Metatron, and you got one of these going out to you. I think aren't you a patron too? You'll be getting one of these either way. So now you got two. Oh, I somehow kicked Fabrizio out of the stream accidentally.
No,
That was bad.
I'm here.
Oh no, I know, but I pulled you out of it for a moment
Oh,
when I meant to just go solo screen on mine. Cool. Yeah, I will surprise you with a card. Thank you again, Fabrizio, for coming on.
Thank you.
Guys, go check out the Alterna Fall campaign. We got 9 days left. We're at like 125% right now, I believe. Yeah, we got a new backer tonight. Thank you, whoever you are. You
Awesome.
kick ass. I think we're both on the sketch card commissions this time around too.
Yes.
It's like, Yes, we are. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I didn't want to talk out my ass on that and offer you up. Sacrifice you to the fan gods. But yeah, thank you again for coming on. This was a good time. I'll get that all boxed up for you guys. It's like we'll do a bigger giveaway on Halloween. Share this shit out, people. Let's have a banger on Halloween night. I want to get drunk and silly with the dudes, and I'm gonna force Ryan and Jeff to be here. It's like, you guys aren't married tonight. But yeah, thank you again for coming on, and guys, I will see you tomorrow night at 9. Take it easy.